Hi everyone, I think I'll get started now with our session. You're in for a real treat for this World Data System Organisational Session Ready, Set, Debate about repository sustainability and organizations in the data space or data world. My name is Reyna Broadhurst. I'm the Associate Director for the World Data Systems International Technology Office. I'm really glad to have you all with us here today. So just to begin, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the Yoruba and Ugara peoples of the land that we're meeting on today in Brisbane, and pay my respect to their elders past and present. And of course, this is always a great opportunity to remind us about the care principles being in the data world. So to start, I'll tell you a little bit about the World Data System before we get into our two, what I assume will be very lively debates with a great cast of characters. But to start, the mission of the World Data System is to enhance the capabilities, impact, and sustainability of our member data repositories and data services through creating trusted communities of scientific data repositories, through strengthening the scientific enterprise through the entire life cycle of data, and advocating for accessible data and transparent and reproducible science. And I would also like to mention that the World Data System came about through International Science Council's predecessor back in 2008 to build on a legacy of World Data Centers that emerged from activities like International Polar Year and International Geophysical Year, and we continue on with that data sharing legacy. So our membership is currently comprised of approximately 150 members. I see one of our newest members here in the room, so that's wonderful. The majority are regular Core Trust Seal certified members, but we also have network, partner, associate, and candidate members. We are thrilled to be welcoming 6 new members this week, which will be featured in an upcoming newsletter and soon on our website. The candidate membership, our most recent membership category that we've offered, provides an opportunity for data repositories who may not yet be certified, but are on that path and wish to be part of the World Data System community earlier. For those in the room who are from a World Data System member organization, is it possible to get a brief show of hands? That's great to see, thank you. And then we welcome all interested data repositories or data-focused organizations that are not yet members to visit our website and to find out more. And there's no cost for that application process. And I just make a brief note about the geographic variance here. We were discussing this yesterday. So there's a single point for each repository, although of course many of the repositories have a greater geographical footprint that's represented here. So it actually is more fuller of a picture than this would indicate. But I would also like to say that we are very interested to welcome repositories from other places that are not as well represented here today. Next, I would like to introduce our World Data System Scientific Committee, who governs the activities of the World Data System. It's composed of leading scientists and experts who are actively involved with data. As you can see, the committee is diverse, both geographically and through different disciplines. We are glad to have numerous representatives from our committee in attendance at IDW here this week, and some of them are in the audience, and one of them is helping in our session today. Davika, who you'll see in a few later on in the presentation. Our staff are based at the University of Tennessee in the United States and also at the University of Victoria in Canada. So that's the program office, and we have one person representing the program office here today, Daniela, if you want to just give a little wave. She's helping us many of the logistics of this conference and of course this session. And myself here representing the International Technology Office. And then our director at the International Program Office, Meredith Gwynns, is online. Can't be with us here today, but she is with us here virtually, and I also appreciate all the other online participants as well. So we are happy to have Daniela here today especially, but We have 6 more staff, and a newest staff, Samantha Campbell, who was just hired this past, I guess within the last couple weeks. And so we are a good cohort of representatives to serve you. Our action plan is a 3-year action plan. Currently, we're in the first year, 2025 to 2027. It has 4 main objectives: to provide the services and supports to our members, to advance the value narratives of our members, to demonstrate global leadership in data governance, and to advocate for quality, trustworthiness, equitability, and fairness of data and data repositories worldwide. And the action plan, we do have some physical copies. We'll give the link here so you can visit this digitally as well. But there are some physical copies. They're on this side here. You can grab them after the session. We also have a few stickers and pins and cable ties, so you're welcome to help yourself after the session with that. Just a little bit about why repositories matter. So we have a working group within the World Data System Scientific Committee that's undertaking a study using the Delphi survey method to identify the most important value-added benefits that data repositories provide to the international research ecosystem. The brainstorming phase yielded an impressive 37 benefits of data repositories, which can be seen at the link provided. My sincerest gratitude to anyone in the room who may have participated in the survey. Anonymized results will be ultimately public through one of the Quartro Seal certified repositories, the University of Victoria Dataverse, which is also a World Data System member. So then to show some of the preliminary results from that activity, which we're currently analyzing, but we'll be sharing those outcomes and developing community narratives in the next year. But here we show you a very early glimpse of some of those 37 benefits. I'm only showing 19, the top 19 on the screen, just because it gets even more cluttered with all these wonderful benefits. But they include open data access, data curation, long-term active data preservation, scientific reproducibility and robustness, data reuse, and many more. So we invite you to reach out to us if you would like to develop your own narrative that aligns with these highest ranked benefits. So as we move into the exciting part of our presentation today, the debates, I just want to share with you some of the motivation for why we wanted to approach these 2 topics. So of course, financial sustainability is a really continuous challenge for our members, but necessary for long-term preservation, maintenance, and continually evolving to meet the vast array of expectations that are put on these repositories. So we're going to be exploring what are the merits of various funding sources and which is most suitable. So I don't know what the arguments we'll hear from our debaters today, but I'll look forward to seeing what they've come up with. And then second, given the proliferation of an increasing number of data-focused organizations at all scales, local to global, often with sub-entities, we wanted to explore whether this is a sign of a healthy data ecosystem, or would a less is more approach be more suitable? So I'm going to review the format, both as a reminder for our debaters, but also for you in the audience to best follow along. So what will happen is the moderator will introduce the motion, then we will introduce the teams and call on the debaters to present their viewpoints. There will be an opening statement from each side where they'll have 4 minutes. Then they'll have a chance to cross-examine and provide a rebuttal, and that will be 3 minutes for each side. We will also be having some additional questions asked by the moderator, but coming from the audience, and I'll explain that in the next slide. So the audience will be able to suggest and vote on each other's questions, and we will use that to inform the probes that we will bring to our debate teams. And then there will be one final closing statement from each team of 2 minutes. Now I want to just make you all aware that the debaters are not necessarily representing their own personal views or those of their organization for the side that they have been assigned. So they did not pick which side they would be on. We assigned that to them. So in case, don't necessarily put any prejudices against them for anything that they might happen to say. And then at the final end, you as the audience will have a chance to decide upon the winners. You can also indicate that there would be a tie. But let me explain that a little bit more. So we will have a Mentimeter. You're welcome to sign in now to this. And there's the code there, or you can use the QR code to scan. So what will happen is, when we begin the opening remarks from each side, you'll have that 8-minute period to submit your own questions. Then, when we switch to the cross-examination, we will switch it to the voting period, so you can vote on one another's questions. At that end of that, we close the voting, which is when we begin the probes. You can vote for up to 5 of those questions, but you could choose to vote for less, 2 or 3, or even none. But when we are going to be asking the teams the questions, it would be very helpful if you prefix your question with either an F for the motion or A for against the motion. It's okay if you think your question is relevant to both sides to leave that out, but that will just really help for the moderators to quickly scan the questions and understand which side that they should be asking that question to. So just a simple letter F or an A, for or against side of the argument. And then after the closing statements, the Mentimeter will switch so you can have that chance to vote for the for or the against side, the supporting side or the opposing side, or you can say it's a tie. So we'll have 2 rounds of debates. The exact same format, the exact same Mentimeter style for each one. So hopefully that is clear, but if not, I can reiterate some of this as we go forward. Okay. So I'd like to introduce the first set of debaters up to the stage. Okay, switching my notes here. Okay, so you're welcome to come on the stage for and against on the side for the first set of debaters. So first of all, I'd like to welcome Magdalena. I practiced this before, but Magdalena is the head of the Scholarly Communication and Open Space Science Section and leader of the Open Science Competence Sector at Gdansk University of Technology Library, Poland. She manages the Bridge of Data Repository and serves as the rector's plenipotentiary for open science. She is a member of the ARDC Organizational Advisory Board and its co-chair. Shelley is the vice president of open science leadership at the American Geophysical Union. She works on behalf of AGU members to make research data and other digital objects recognized as important contributions to the research ecosystem. Then on the against side, we have Daniel Bangert as the director of 4TU Research Data and International Data Repository for Science, Engineering, and Design, based at Delft University of Technology in the Netherlands. He has a background in open science and research data across a range of contexts, including working in Ireland in open science, on national policy and coordination, and positions in Germany and Australia supporting open science in European projects and academic libraries. And finally, we have Natalie Raia, who is a postdoc research associate at the College of Information Science at the University of Arizona in the United States. Her work bridges social and information science methods with real-world scientific practice to improve the usability and interoperability of earth science cyber infrastructure. She currently serves on the board of the AGU and is an associate editor for Geoscience Data Journal. So I'm going to move into the moderator chair so we can begin. Okay. Is this mic working? Okay. So I'd like to call on our for side of this debate to deliver their opening remarks, 4 minutes. And do we have the timer ready before we start? I'll just give 1 second for that. Yeah, okay. And Magdalena, take it away.
Okay. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Have you had your coffee already? Because it will be a lot of emotions here today. Once again, good morning. And me and Shelley, today we stand here to support of the motion in order for research data to support the public good. Data repositories should not be funded by the users. So let's be honest. Research data is not a luxury or fancy product. It's a public good, often created with a public money. If we started charging researchers or institutions for using or depositing it, we simply turn something meant to be shared into something exclusive. And that's not what open science is about. It's not what science means. So I came from Poland, and every day, really every day, we still face limited research budgets. And if repositories relate on user fees, many researchers simply couldn't afford to deposit their data. And the same applies globally. Think of your friends from developing countries or even small institutions. Science cannot be open only for those who can pay. And I started to prepare some arguments, and it reminds me about that we have seen this story before. And I am a librarian, and probably many of you still remember the Harvard Open Access Spring in 2012. Happened in the United States. Even Harvard University could not subscribe to all scientific journals due to the high subscription costs. So if the wealthiest university in the world couldn't afford access to the publicly funded research, how could anyone else? And there's another important reason. On Monday, I attended a wonderful session led by Meredith and Daniela. Again, Meredith and Daniela on trust principles for repositories. And the T in a trust principles stands for transparency. And where funding depends on payments, there is always a risk of bias or hidden motives. So my thoughts on that, once money enters the system, transparency can become fragile. So some may argue that charging users is necessary for sustainability, but sustainability doesn't mean shifting costs to the individuals. It means shared responsibility, governments, funders, and institutions working together to support reliable long-term infrastructures. And this is how we sustain something truly open. And yes, there are some examples of paid repositories, but even there, the model is expensive and not everyone can afford it. If we copy that approach globally, we risk building a two-speed science, open for the rich and closed for the rest. Finally, open and free repositories don't just serve researchers. They fuel innovation across discipline, startups, NGOs, and of course, education. And that's the real public good effect, when knowledge flows freely and creates new value for society. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for those opening remarks. Can we have the opening remarks from the opposing team, Daniel?
Yes, thank you, Magdalena, and thank you, Reyna. Our position is that in order for research data to support the public good, data repositories should be funded by their users. We want to emphasize three themes: the need for change and crisis-resilient financial models, the idea that research as a public good involves collective responsibility, and the embedding of user needs in community-driven infrastructures as key to sustainability. We're all here at a conference with the theme of data for positive change. But around us, we're seeing change of a different nature and its very real impacts. Disruptions, funding cuts, and the loss of services all point to the need for new thinking and new models that can weather moments of volatility. This year's State of Open Infrastructure report from Invest in Open Infrastructure underlines this, and I quote, "Supporting the development of community-owned infrastructure, where researchers, academic institutions, and the public have a stake in ownership and governance, can create a more resilient system and insulate against government interference or disruption." We're working to support the public good, building a research commons with data at the centre. This involves collective action and collective responsibility. We can only build resilient systems and models if we act together. Where should we look for new thinking, resilient models, and collective action? To our users, of course. We need distributed support of our infrastructures and repositories by the people that know and value the data and services best, which are our users, whether they be individuals or institutions. What else do users offer? They can ensure the embedding of their needs, especially when they have a financial stake, increasing accountability and driving change. Financial contribution can help to ensure that our systems are truly responding to users and are tailored to their needs. We've seen some successful examples of coordinated distributed funding, like the Global Sustainability Coalition for Open Science Services, where over 350 institutions have pledged support for vital open science infrastructures. Other global consortia and partnership models show that mixed, distributed funding helps to minimize risks and builds resilience to crises or threats, which can include disasters, attacks, economic or organizational failures, or political or legislative changes. In such models, users understand and buy into the idea of collective responsibility, perhaps even obligation, to participate in the direct funding of essential infrastructures. So imagine a future where data sharing and stewardship in repositories is recognized across the board. A world where data available on request is the exception, not the norm. Where data for positive change is not just the theme of a conference, but part of the public discourse. We cannot reach that point by standing still and only relying on traditional funding sources. This is already too vulnerable, too fragile, and will certainly not work in future. So now is the time to involve our users even more, including in our funding, not to rely on them completely, of course, but to find a more balanced, distributed, and ultimately more resilient model of funding. Ask yourself, why would we exclude them? Data for the public good is driven by values of collective benefit and is an issue of collective responsibility.
Thank you for both sets of opening remarks. So I don't know if maybe I should leave it open 1 more minute for questions before I close to the voting. Just to allow a few more, but I'll switch that over and then we'll move to the cross-examination. Okay, I'm switching it over. Okay, so now you can begin to vote, and then we'll begin the cross-examination. Beginning here with Shelley, are you ready?
I am ready. So, you're really thinking the users are going to have the funding to do this, and you do think that's going to be equitable. I believe I have 3 minutes, right? Something like that. Okay, excellent. So I think there's a really strong question for the expectation and equitability of the folks that will have access to the repository, to the data. So what you're saying is, I feel like we're heading down the have and have-nots moment here, kind of a little bit. And so if you're invested, pay to play. Yes, pay to play. If you're invested, that means you can get your needs addressed with your repository, and you can pay to have those things being implemented. And who is the you anyway? So who is funding the researchers? How are the researchers going to redirect that money back? I feel like this is not going to work. So pay to play. So that's going to leave out everyone who is really on a shoestring or less research budget, doesn't have the funds that can be redirected from the actual research work going back into the repositories, and it's going to leave the folks, perhaps this is going to break down by discipline. So disciplines with larger numbers of researchers could pool their money to get what they need, but those researchers who are not well funded because maybe it's something on the edge of innovation, imagine that, you're going to stifle innovation. So I'm not, I'd like to send it back over to the other side to rebut.
Thank you, Shelley.
Lots to rebut here. I think touching on the last point in terms of stifling innovation, I would actually argue that our model will further drive innovation, because when these repositories are dependent on the users and beholden to the users, they are incentivized to be efficient and very responsive to the user needs and to the needs of the public good. And so this will actually drive innovation in a way that's not maybe happening right now because of the existing funding model, where we have repositories limping along on these 2, 3, 5-year grant cycles, unable to just keep the lights on and retain and sustain good talent. So I would say that a user-funded model that is more resilient to the whims of governments, economic winds, will actually drive innovation. In terms of the inequities, these are very real, and our model, I think, accounts for this. So there's really fantastic, emerging, growing examples of tiered services. We see this across the board with organizations like DataCite, ORCID, ROAR, that are, I think, addressing and speaking to disparate fiscal capabilities. And if we look to things like, I think Daniel mentioned, the SCOS model, we've seen over 350 public institutions endorse and support this model that advocates for distributed institutional support. I think also if we look to the principles of open scholarly infrastructure, this points back to that innovation point. So talking about diversifying revenue streams, and it's the data still belongs to the community. We have the core organizations like all of us gathered here that are going to ensure that the conversation remains with those data producers, and that the conversation remains with the people who know the data best.
Okay, thank you for your cross-examination remarks, both Shelley and Natalie. Okay, so now I'm going to begin the section where we'll probe them a little bit further based on all your audience questions. So let's see what they are. Okay, so how do I scroll up to see?
Would it be possible for us to have access to questions afterwards? These are excellent questions.
Yeah, perhaps. I just need to figure out how I get back up to the top.
Press enter to stop scrolling.
Yeah, but that'll just stop scrolling. How do I get back to the top? Oops. Okay, here. Good. Thank you. Okay. So just a reminder, so we'll make the questions available in some form after the session. Thank you for that remark, Claudia. And so, a reminder, I'm going to be alternating sides with one question each, and you'll have 1 minute to respond to that question, okay? So, I'm just trying to find one that is for the for side, because the first ones are against. Well, maybe. Okay. Sorry?
I think the first one's ours.
Okay. So I'll start with the first question, the most popular. Then for either of you two to respond, you can decide. So the data users are often funded by governments, so isn't charging them for data essentially charging the taxpayer twice?
I'd really like to take that one. So we have the double dipping here, but one of the elements of how are the users being funded, and if you want to actually consider diversification, we haven't yet mentioned the commercial industry. So if commercial industry sees an opportunity to back a researcher or help pay for that research, then you're getting undue influence on what is actually considered quality data or perhaps an unbiased approach to of access for researchers, and this could lead to research that benefits corporate objectives, which is not necessarily what is necessary for innovation and trust and transparency.
Okay. Now, for the opposing side, first question. What about resource-poor developing countries? How can they afford to access data?
I think that I think there was a question here too about deposition versus access. I think that the model that we're proposing is flexible and needs to flex. And so it's not one or the other. It's not, it scales in different ways depending on the needs. And so I think we're absolutely not saying pay to play for access. What we are saying, if we are truly to step into and embrace a world where data is valued as a world-class primary research product, there needs to be a sense of shared responsibility in making sure that that data is accessible. And so that may come in the form of paying to deposit data or supporting resources through consortia models.
Okay, thank you. So next we'll return back to the supporting side. So I guess a lot of these don't clearly have the supporting side referenced, but I guess I'll ask this question since it's really for both sides. So who are the users, individuals or organizations? Both sides mix the definitions. It's not the same if a researcher is required to pay or if their organization is.
Who are the users? I think that's a brilliant question. Thank you for that. So we think about the researchers, that's Research Data Alliance, kind of leads us in that direction, one might say. But if you're a user, you could come from a local decision-making authority, somebody who's interested in the weather information, what that impact is going to be on the risk and hazards for your population that you're serving as a civil servant. Thank you for your job. I appreciate that, unlike the US, who's not even working right now. So then you also have to remember that a lot of, especially in situ and ground observational data is used to validate satellite information, and a lot of the satellites up there are commercial satellites. So you have a whole bunch of users, and we're all done now.
Oh, time is up. Thank you.
Do I respond?
Okay, next question for the opposing side.
Have at it.
So how do we plan to convince scientists to adhere to the fair data principles and deposit their data to repositories if you charge them for doing this at the same time?
Exactly. That's a great question.
Can you restate the question, please?
Sure. How do you plan to convince scientists to adhere to the fair data principles and deposit their data to repositories if you charge them for doing this at the same time?
We need all players at the table to provide sticks where needed and carrots where needed. And I think that the model that we're proposing will evolve. And so users will begin to progressively gravitate towards those repositories that are serving their needs and recognize the value in that. And I do want to highlight, Shelley, you're absolutely right. The US is not working right now. And so I think that's problematic for the model that you're speaking to. And, you know, in that situation, who governs the repository? Who is the user? Is it the government? Because the government are not the data users, and they will not necessarily know and ensure that they're preserving the types of services that our users need.
You might have a chance in the closing statement, but for now. Okay, next question for the supporting side. What happens when governments stop wanting to fund science and data access? What if there's no public money?
Is that the end of the question? Okay, I might burst into tears. Listen, so Natalie makes a really good point. So when Natalie said that the government are not users of the data, my heart went, stop, that's not really true. I mean, we've got, in the US, we've got the US Geologic Survey that helps us with everything from water to maps, and those are all critical elements using data within the US infrastructure. And so when the United States and most of our discipline-specific repositories are funded by US government funds, we do have a significant impact on our data. And actually, honestly, there's an opportunity for collaboration worldwide. So there's a way for there to be the public good, and dang it, there's a public good out there for international cooperation.
Okay, and then one final probe to our opposing team. So what about those resource-poor developing countries? How can they afford to access data?
I'll emphasize again that our model is not advocating for pay-to-play for access. So I just want to make that clear. So I think that in and of itself answers it. But I want to highlight that publicly funded does not linearly translate to public good. And so I think if we have a best shot at ensuring that the global user base is having their needs served, we need this back in the hands of the people who are assembled here. We have a global community here. And so it's who are the decision makers in what gets green-lighted, what gets taken down, deprioritized, et cetera. And I think that models like the GORC model that comes out of this space give us a way forward for shared governance that is not reliant upon financial resources.
Okay, thank you. So that's the end of the probe question period. We'll move into the closing statements. I'm just going to return to the center. Thank you to the audience for all those wonderful questions. Okay. So we'll begin here with Magdalena for
Okay.
a 2-minute closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, guys. Our opponents have tried to convince us that paid repositories guarantee higher quality, better sustainability, greater responsibility, collective work. But let's be honest. Quality and trust in research data don't come from payment models. They come from good governance, transparency, and shared values. And the truly sustainability repository is one built on collaboration, not competition. And money can easily cloud openness. We've already seen that in the predatory journals. Guys, do you want to have predatory repositories? No. And what's about the data processing charge? Again, do we want the same battle with APC we used to have? I don't think so. So, research data can and should serve the public good, but it's only possible when repositories are free, transparent, and built for everyone, not just for those who can afford them. And at the end, I know that in Australia it's not a karaoke time at the moment, but somewhere is in Europe, for example. And yesterday, when I prepared to the debate, I had in the song in mind. Do you know ABBA? Money, money, money. Okay, guys, so I asked my friend AI, and we have something like that. I work all night, I share all day, still I have to pay to make my data stay. A fair dream world they said it be, but open science comes with a data fee. If I fail my data there, it's pay per share. Life isn't fair. So, money, money, money. It's not so open, honey. Money, money, money.
Okay, thank
costs
you
too much for many.
Okay, Daniel.
I
You
must
have
admit,
the last remarks for this debate. 2 minutes begins now.
yes, that was very entertaining, but I must say that in arguing for the status quo, I haven't heard a compelling vision from the other side. I heard a lot of assumptions, a lot of speculation, a bit of fear-mongering, and I think putting words in our mouths and models that we didn't actually suggest. So let me just start with that. But to close, I want to return to our three themes. There's a need for change and crisis-resilient financial models. Research as a public good involves collective responsibility, and we need our users' needs embedded in community-driven infrastructure as part of sustainability. I think we can all agree that we need to evolve. Sitting back and being passive is not an option. We need users to buy in and help us transition to models that are resilient to crises and enable repositories to thrive in a changing environment. If we truly believe in research as a public good, we should recognize our collective responsibility for ensuring sustainability. Users are uniquely positioned to help. They understand the value of repositories firsthand, and they should be invested in our success in all senses of the word. They keep repositories accountable, ensuring data is being served and archived in ways that actually serve the public good. They can help shape services that add further value, which can in turn broaden the user base and funding. By working closely together, we move together towards recognizing data for positive change, supporting the public good. Why exclude them? We need them now more than ever. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, we had a wonderful set of arguments from both sides. So now we're going to open it to the audience for you to vote which side you think had the best arguments, and or if you think it's a tie. So we'll give 1 minute for that to occur. Oh, responding is off.
I lost the Menti link.
Yeah. Well, there's a code on the top.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just trying to. Oh, okay. I might have to increase the time. Okay, you get 1.5 minutes.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Get your money out. Well, they have better arguments, I think.
Yes, so we have the opposing side leading currently. this may also reflect the audience perspective rather than what their perceptions on the arguments were, but it's great to see these
We accept PayPal and Venmo.
coming in.
How about that coin?
Okay.
Coin. Oh,
I guess it's closing. I guess two-thirds of the votes. Creeping forward. Okay, so there's 30 more seconds to go here. Let's see if there's any change. Maybe it's stable at this point.
I feel like we should concede.
I think we're at a stable result here now, right?
Good job.
Okay, so congratulations on the opposing team and good sports on the supporting team. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to just shift here. Okay, I'm going to welcome to the stage Davika Natalie, who's going to be our moderator for the second set of the debates. And she'll introduce our next set of 4 debaters. So do you want to do it here? It's up to you where you do it.
Good morning, everybody. And I too would like to start by respecting the traditional owners on whose land we stand here. And please, please. The topic 2 and the motion is at the national, regional, and international level, we require fewer data adjacent organizations, specifically those that provide services or community coordination benefiting data repositories. That's the motion. And I'm Devika Madali. I'm director of what is called as InflibNet, Information and Library Network of India. And today I work as the moderator for topic 2. And it's my pleasure to introduce the debaters. Masaki Kanao is a professor at the Research Organization of Information and Systems, which became a network member of WDS in 2025. He's been engaged in data management committee under the Scientific Committee on Antarctic Research since 2008. Recently, he organized several WDS Asia-Oceania conferences to promote international collaboration in the area of data exchange. My pleasure also to introduce Lesley Wyborn, who is an honorary professor at the Australian National University and also works part-time for ARDC. She has 42 years of experience at Geoscience Australia, encompassing both geochemistry research and data scientist data management tasks. Since leaving Geoscience Australia in 2014, she has continued her research into many aspects of data science, including data quality, versioning of data sets, and developing high-performance national-scale data sets for use in HPC environments. And the opposition debaters today are Brian Minihan. He is the engagement lead, Asia Pacific for ORCID. Before joining ORCID in 2018, Brian was a scholarly communication librarian at Hong Kong Baptist University. With a background in sinology, Brian was a copy editor for several monograph publications as a research associate at the Ricci Institute for Chinese Western Cultural History at the University of San Francisco. And we have Madiareni Sulaiman, sorry if I didn't pronounce properly, Reyna is a research data librarian at BRIN, Indonesia, and is working on her PhD at the University College London in UK. Reyna managed RIN Dataverse, a national scientific repository in Indonesia. She is a member of WDS, Early Career Research Network, and the International Federation of Library Association and Institutions, IFLA, Advisory Committee for Open Science and Scholarship, and the RDA Libraries for Research Data Interest Group, L4RD, co-chair. So with those, I would like to now come there. And start the session with the for. You have 4 minutes for your opening remarks.
Okay. Thank you, Deepika. I'm Masaki Kanao from Tokyo, Japan. In generally, I agree with the idea of having the fewer data-focused organizations, which is more effective at any levels of national, regional, and international. International integration of the organizations would reduce duplication of our works and improve coordination and ensure more consistent data standard and services. Fewer but stronger initiatives organizations could also make data access and long-term management more efficient and sustainable. And this idea is strongly recommended by the international data initiatives such as World Data System, CODATA, and Research Data Alliances. In the area of Asian Oceania, in the last 1 decade, several regional headquartered organizations, including our body research institute, have been engaged in the works for promoting community buildings and also exchanging information on the standardization of the data across our regions. So they also conducted several international symposium and workshops focused on the Asian Oceania region, and, including this IDW session. And in the viewpoint of my science research in geoscience, in particular seismology data center, some of them become a membership of the WDS already, but the umbrella of the International Science Council, there is a federation of the digital seismic network, and more than 10 regional and international data centers that is belong to the individual major nations has compiled their data themselves. But eventually, almost all data sets have compiled to one big center that in the United States, and globally, the scientists can use that center in a uniform data format, and simultaneously by choosing the networking in the globe, so it can be utilized for any scientific research to investigate the inner part of the Earth and dynamics, as well as environmental and climate change issues and disaster prevention. And in this concern, I again emphasize on the importance of the fewer data center could be much effective to have to keep going on provide a long-term and uniform data set to global community. That's all. Thank you.
The introduction remarks.
Yeah, thank you, Masaki and Devika, moderator, colleagues. So we oppose the motions that says there should be fewer data-focused organizations that provide services or community coordination to help data repositories. In real federated data ecosystems across countries, lean but real coordination is essential for interoperability, trust, and fairness. Cutting these bodies sounds efficient, but it harms reliability, equity, and cross-border collaboration. Our arguments, first, that federation needs glue. So, like federated repositories do not run themselves. They need standardization, metadata mapping, synchronization, monitoring, and fast incident response. These tasks are performed by coordination teams, working groups, and service hubs next to repositories, not inside a single platform. And our second argument, equity across regions. In many countries, infrastructure and skills are uneven across regions. Without regional help desks and training hubs, data from remote or under-resourced areas becomes invisible. That is unfair and reduces the value of national and international data spaces. Third, low policy and semantics. Technology cannot negotiate legal constraints, ethical rules, or semantic differences. Neutral coordination bodies mediate conflicts, implement shared vocabularies, and ensure compliance. This protects both data quality and public trust. So, for instance, because I'm from Indonesia, I manage the RIN Dataverse. It is a national scientific repository which uses a federated model. So, institutions can manage their own nodes while integrating nationally. For example, we have One Data Indonesia, established governance roles and forums to standardize metadata, codes, and data exchange. So it is an API-based, we have API-based government interoperability services with national and local implementations, audits, and registration in national catalog. Together, these are data focused by design, and they are necessary to make the federation interoperable, secure, and equitable across the archipelago. Another example is from European cross-border data spaces. In Europe, sectoral and cross-border data spaces rely on consortia, standard bodies, and governance forums to align semantics, policies, and trust frameworks. And these coordination entities are intentionally data-focused and enable interoperability across jurisdiction. So removing them would fragment implementation and weaken trust. In short, international practice shows that federated ecosystems need calibrated coordination, like where possible, strong where necessary. So please vote against the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will be starting the Menti for your questions. No? There you go. The voting is in progress. So may I have the rebuttal?
Oh, well, thank you very much. I guess where I'm coming from is right now our repositories are in crisis, particularly in a country that's in the middle latitudes. It sits between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans without mentioning anyone. And it's made us seriously think, and we've got to get this balance, because if we have too many, we just cannot rescue or keep all the valuable data sets we have. Noting that I'm from the Earth and Environmental Science community, and I deal with data sets that are very, very small, to ones petabytes in scale that fit on supercomputers. And those small repositories that hold that observational data that we use to calibrate phenomena, when we know, like, the big data sets have only got proxies, they've got our most valuable, and they are absolutely our most vulnerable. And I think when you dig into those smaller ones, a lot of them are actually copying data from other repositories so they can provide a local service to their community. And that, to me, is just creating even more funding crises, as well as our ability to identify, will the, sorry, Australian term, rigidage, will the real primordial data set stand up? This is the one we need. And so that's why, just out of sheer panic of what's going on, and also another thing that's happening from that country in the middle latitudes between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, we're getting a lot of requests in Australia for help with data rescue. And we know we're getting duplicate data sets. So I just think somewhere, somehow, we need to rationalise. Yes, I agree with what you're saying, we can federate, but we really still have too many for that limited amount. And my suggestion is, as you can see, I've got a long history. In the early 70s, we used to call data repositories data banks. And if we call them banks, we can, in times of crisis, because you know how they rescue all those banks when So this would be my response to data banks where we know what's in them and we preserve fewer of those data banks.
Thank you. Thank you. And your rebuttal, please.
All right. Okay. Right. Well, in your statement, you mentioned a certain type of data. Was it observational data? I think it was. We think the federated approach is better because given the geographical diversity of the world and the diversity of data itself, I think of data as such a large word, we can't even probably come up with the number of categories. And so centralization is going to fail to account for specialization in our thought. So, and you know, again, we need quite a diversity of approaches here to data, not a one-size-fits-all aspect. One other aspect to our argument is we know that there's quite a lot of research in the PRC in China, and there's quite a lot of research and data produced from the EU. Federation accounts for the different legal and different practices in those regions. We're not going to have the same approach in the People's Republic of China as we are in the EU, obviously. Mind you, that doesn't mean we're going to ignore standards and protocols and things like that. So we really think that you know, doing away with regional and specialized viewpoints is really kind of opening a big chasm that would really, you know, have some aspect of accountability with data fall through there. So that's
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we go for the questions from the audience to use them as the probes. I think I'll go there. Thank you. Yeah, we have quite a few here, and I think I simply take the most popular one there for the fourth group. How can we mitigate the risk that fewer organizations will concentrate power with already overrepresented countries, regions, institute, and disciplinary areas? Do you want to take that? For?
Okay. I think what I get over is that you've got to watch that problem, and I have worked in countries in the global south, and I know the fear is that all the data is going to end up in Europe. I'm talking about going right back to the primary observable data, and I agree that the smaller stuff can be kept regionally and managed locally. But at some stage, particularly as we move towards exascale computing, you're going to have to get that data somewhere where it can be used in the bigger on the bigger computers to help calibrate. And so to me, it's, yeah, I'm definitely really aware of that, but I'm just looking at it all over the world and saying, well, let's just start getting rid of the replicate repositories within the regions and then see what's left. And also point out that I work on a big repository, and you can enforce domain standards at very specific levels, and we do. So we do get over that argument that the people who own it can control it.
Thank you, Lesley. And for, I think I'll take this one for you. Isn't it more a question of having fewer core service providers for things like storage to enable more specialized services for specific audiences?
Well, you know, systems are tools, but really it's humans that are distributed that actually make things work. So we all make use of tools, but in our humanity, our diversity of regions and actually disciplines, this is really how we function. as data creators and stewards. So technology itself, or an one-size-fits-all organizational thing is not an answer, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Thank you. And the next one for the FAR, we'll take the next popular one maybe. How do you take the diversity of communities and their very different requirements into account? That's the second prospect. Do you really believe one size fits all?
Definitely not. One size does not fit all, and you have to be able to respect the community standards and requirements. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not advocating for generalist repositories. I'm arguing for repositories that can enforce community-agreed standards, vocabularies and formats at the place where the data is stored. And they're two kind of different things. Because a lot of people think, oh, you're centralising, you're going to generalise. You do not have to generalise. And my repository, which has 20 petabytes of data, does allow for that specialisation. So it is possible to do it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The domain repositories sit within a bigger one.
Thank you. This may be the last one we would like to take. Would domain repositories have a chance to continue next to these large centric repositories? What about the domain repositories?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, why not? That's we're not. I'm just going to keep it simple there. Yes. Yeah. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. I think. I think that's all the time we have for. One more question. How do I get back to the panel here? The panel. No.
Okay, go forward.
Yeah. Okay, we take this for the four. Who decides which repositories have to merge?
I think we just have to look at certain countries where it's the funders who are doing it. For example, NSF forced Sage Engage to merge together. I mean, the funders are onto this. And so it's either by force or in some cases groups come to like my repository, and as long as we can guarantee that we will enforce their domain standards, they're quite happy because they run out of money to keep going.
Okay. So, and again, won't more repositories split the already limited public funding?
More repositories. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I can't see that splitting funding. Again, it goes down to discipline specialization, also types of data specialization, also regional, local, and it's not just librarians or certain type of professionals who administer repositories. So, no, I don't. I don't see, an issue with, with that, with having a large, diverse.
Come back there.
Yeah.
Thank you, both sides, for taking the questions. The closing remarks.
Okay, closing. For other supporting opinion, I again emphasize the idea of having fewer but more coordinated, data-oriented organizations in the world. Streaming of idea could enhance efficiency, reduce overlapping of the works, and promote stronger alignment in the data standards and services. A more uniform approach would also help ensure long-term sustainability and clearer global, regional, and local collaboration in the world.
Thank you.
I hope.
Thank you. Your closing remarks, please.
Yeah, thank you. So the motion asks us to reduce data focus organization around repositories. But in federated national and international ecosystem, coordination is not a luxury. It is the operating layer that makes standards works in practice. Indonesia's experience in Dataverse One in Indonesia shows how governance forums, interoperability services, and regional support keep the network interoperable, secure, and fair. In European data spaces also and other regions also rely on consortia and standard bodies for cross-border trust and semantics. Cutting these bodies may look tidy on paper, but it produces fragmentation and unequal participation. The smarter choice is calibrated coordination and governance, lean structures with clear mandates, strong enough to sustain interoperability and equity at scale for a reliable, inclusive, federated future. So therefore, we oppose the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now for the results.
Okay, so now we open it for the voting. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's see.
18 seconds.
Oh. So
4 seconds.
2 and 1.
So close.
So close. Almost a tie.
Okay, well, we thank
you.
Yeah.
Thank
we
you
thank
to
the
all the-
debaters. That was excellent. Okay, thank you. So just shifting gears here. Okay. Okay. Okay, well, that was very, very enlightening. Great arguments from both sides in both debates, and so we'll definitely have to take a look more at all the other questions that we didn't get to and somehow make that available. But I really appreciate all the hard work that the teams put in preparing their arguments, because really, I know it's a lot of, it's a bit intimidating to come on stage and react to and respond to the opposing teams. So wonderful. Another just a round of applause. Okay, so just a few concluding remarks. We may end up closing a little bit early, but that's all right. I just want to make sure that everyone is aware about how to become a member. So we have the QR code there, the link to how you can become a member of the World Data System with your organization. So like I've said before, the majority, the core regular membership is data repositories that are certified, but we do allow for other repositories to apply through the candidate membership. And if you're not a data repository, but from some other data-focused organization, you are also still welcome to be a member through either the partner or the associate or the network member, whichever is most suited to your organization. So I welcome you to take a look. And again, there's no cost. There's just a bit of a process to agree to our data sharing principles and to commit to some sort of relationship that depends on the type of membership, but please have a look if you haven't before. Another thing I'd like to just quickly introduce is our Early Career Research Network. There's a link to that. We define that as within your first 10 years since you've finished your latest degree. And I would also just highlight and thank again the 2 debaters that are part of that early career network, 1 in each debate. So you've seen what a good way that is to become more involved and to get some more recognition and opportunities by being a part of that network. So please, if you know of others early career that are not in this room, please let them know about it and have them get engaged. So first and finally, I just want to give a thank you not only to the speakers but also to the audience and our other moderator. Wonderful questions, wonderful engagement for all your voting that you put forward in today and for your voting, for those close calls. But also to thank both to our individual offices of the Technology Office and the Program Office, our respective funders, the Department of Energy in the United States, the Digital Research Alliance of Canada, and then the host organizations, so the University of Tennessee, University of Victoria, and also the Oak Ridge Innovation Institute and Ocean Networks Canada, respectively. So there's many ways here to get engaged with us through our website, through our social media. We thank you for coming today, and we hope that you've been enjoying IDW. And please, please come and get some of the swag that I mentioned before and our action plan. But yes, and also come to speak to us. But thank you again.